doesn't love a debate? Especially when it comes to Jimmy Conrad choosing his top 5 players in the world right now, and myself and my good friend Luis Garcia trying to break him down. Hey, Jimmy Conrad, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Ian. I appreciate that. And yes, I'm always up for a debate. Let's go from 5 to 1. I'm going to start with Heung-Min Son, everybody. And actually, I should add a preface that I'm not going to name two players from the same team. So if you get named, I can't name Harry Kane at this point. I just want to throw that out there. So Heung-Min Son is number 5, and I'm bringing him into the list because I think he's incredibly underrated. I don't know if he gets the love and adoration that he really, really deserves. He tied with Mo Salah for the most goals in the Premier League to become the first Asian to ever win the Golden Boot in one of the top 5 leagues in Europe, and he didn't score any of his goals from the penalty spot, and I think that needs to be talked about. He also had 10 assists, and really when Harry Kane was struggling at the beginning of the year because he was feeling sorry for himself because he didn't go to Manchester City, Heung-Min Son was the guy that the team relied on, and I love that the number 2 ended up being the number 1, and I think he's going to be very vital for Spurs this upcoming season as well. Now, moving on to number 4 is a player that I'm sure everybody's heard of before. His name is Robert Lewandowski. The man led all of Europe with the most goals in the top 5 leagues. If he could win the Golden Shoe, I think it's called. He had 50 goals and 7 assists in 46 games in all competitions. The guy's an absolute machine. He can score with either foot, with his head, from any place on the field. I mean, he is really a special player. I'm curious to see how he's going to do with Barcelona this particular season. But on top of that, he also helped his country qualify for the World Cup, scoring a vital goal for Poland when they took on Sweden in the qualifying playoffs. And so I got to have Robert Lewandowski on my list, mainly because I'm also bitter that he didn't win the Ballon d'Or a couple seasons ago during the pandemic. What were you doing, French football? You got to have him involved. He is a really special player. Now at number 3, I'm going with Kylian Mbappe. The guy was unbelievable. He led the French league in goals and assists. 39 goals and 26 assists in all competitions last season. And when I think about what he did in the Champions League against Real Madrid when PSG played them, he scored in the first leg, the game winner in the first leg. He scored the first goal in leg 2, and that should have been done and dusted. But unfortunately, Kylian Mbappe can't play every single position on the field for his club, PSG, and they ended up losing that. Surprisingly, I still don't know how they lost that game 3-2, where Kareem Benzema had an improbable hat-trick in that. But Kylian Mbappe, obviously, what a player. The only thing that I think is holding him back is that he only won Liga last season. That was the only trophy he had to his name. Had he won the Champions League, I think we'd be considering him as the favorite for the Ballon d'Or. Now I'm going to move on to number 2, and I think this is going to be controversial. I can't wait to get the thoughts from Lucho Garcia in particular. I'm going with Sadio Mane over Mo Salah, and I know that Mo Salah had the better numbers. He had 31 goals and 16 assists in his 51 games, and Sadio Mane only had 23 goals and 5 assists in his 51 games, but it comes down to winning, and these guys played against each other twice at the international level in the AFCON final, and Sadio Mane and Senegal won. The first time Senegal has ever won the Africa Cup of Nations. And then they played against each other in a World Cup qualifying knockout to go to the World Cup or to go home and watch it on the couch with me, Ian, and Lucho. And Sadio Mane and Senegal beat Mo Salah and Egypt yet again. And I think that should matter when we're talking about the world's best players, making the plays that make a difference. Also, obviously, he helped Liverpool, as did Mo Salah, in getting 2 out of the 4 trophies available for an English team. They were 1 point behind Man City for the league and lost in the Champions League final. And Sadio Mane was a big part of that, especially in the second half of the season. If we're talking about the first half of 2022, it's a strong case that Sadio Mane might have the edge over Mo Salah. But if you're talking the whole season, then maybe Mo Salah. Anyway, let's get to number 1. And there's going to be no dispute. I'm not arguing this at all. Don't at me on social media. It is Kareem Benzema. The guy was fantastic for Real Madrid. He led La Liga in goals. He led Madrid to the La Liga title. He also helped them win the Champions League. He scored a hat-trick against PSG in the round of 16. He scored a hat-trick against Chelsea in the quarterfinals. He scored a brace against Manchester City in the semifinals. And he obviously was very influential in the final when they beat Liverpool 1-0. This man is having, I think, the best year of his career. He's going to also help France in the World Cup. There's no denying that. And I think he's the heavy favorite to win the Ballon d'Or like he should. That's my list. Thanks for having me. Now I want to hear what Lucho and Ian have to say.
Well done. Listen, I cannot give you a lot of disagreement here. First of all, because of Benzema, I think that totally agree with you. Number 1, it has to be Karim Benzema. But let me check. So Lewandowski, Mbappe, and Mane are the next one. Jimmy, if I recall well, you were a center back. No one center back good player in the world. No Van Dijk, no Militao, no one else. So only strikers because they score goals. that says something about making a list of top players in the world. Not because they score goals are more important than the defenders or the keepers. Not because they make a lot more assists are better than the midfielders, like Kevin De Bruyne, that is probably one of the best, if not the best, midfielders in Europe or in the world. And you miss some of them because they don't score as many goals as Mane or Salah. That talk about Sadio Mane or Mo Salah is fine. I totally understand. Some people will like more Mane, another one so more Salah. I understand. For me, I think it's Salah to be. He should be in the top 5. But it's fine. If you pick Sadio Mane, I totally understand, and I'm not going to argue about that. But not having De Bruyne over there or Van Dijk, who gave so much of the team, not only with goals, assists, but defending well, being leaders. Leaders. We need leaders. I haven't seen many leaders here. No Son, no Lewandowski, no Mbappe, no Man. No, there are not many leaders. They lead Lucho, different way as I expect.
I'm not building a five-a-side team. I'm just naming the best 5 players, and these guys are making the difference when you have to score goals in big games. And I think that matters as much as I was a defender, a little bit more than the defensive side of the ball.
Lucho, do you want to finish? Do you want to finish? Because Jimmy kind of interrupted you there, so please finish.
Yeah, I let him talk all the way during the 5 players, and he have to stop talk and making me talk. It's fine. The only thing that I will disagree is that I was missing a little bit of a defensive side of a midfielder because only I see is striker because they score goals, they got all the highlights of every single game. But the rest of the players, they also deserve because they won also a lot of trophies and because also they've been important. So I will expect in a top 5, at least one midfielder and one defender. And that's because I want to disagree something with you. The rest of the players, I think they are massive.
Yeah, I agree, Lucho. I think this is just a great segment to actually get stuck into our good friend Jimmy Conrad. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. Heung-min Son, I love him, great player. He's not even the best player in his own team, let alone in Jimmy Conrad's top 5. Gone a little bit crazy, even though he did score a ton of goals. Fantastic. Harry Kane's a better player than Son, in my opinion, personally. Jimmy, I love you, but I think you've lost your mind there. Robert Lewandowski, I agree with you for him being there and mentioned in the top players, but he should be in the top 3. Come on! This guy's a goal scorer! He led Bayern Munich all the way to another German title. That's got to mean something to you, Jimmy Conrad. He's probably going to score more goals at Barcelona now. Go ahead.
No, listen. Bayern Munich could not have Robert Lewandowski last season, and they'd still win the Bundesliga, okay? So keep going.
Well, they don't have him this season, and they probably will win the Bundesliga this season. I think he'll actually score more goals at Barcelona this campaign than he did score last season and potentially the season before in the Bundesliga. And let's not forget he had a Bundesliga record of 41 goals, I think it was a couple of seasons ago, and he wasn't far away last season before he picked up an injury. Then we have Kylian Mbappe. It's hard not to put him in the top 3. I think he would be close to being number 1 if he did win. And as you mentioned, had he lifted the Champions League, we'd be talking about him being probably Ballon d'Or outstanding player. I mean, this guy rarely injured, plays every single game, and his goals are just phenomenal. 39 goals last season, blew us all away. And then number 2 is debatable. Sadio Mane, it's hard to disagree because AFCON winner, getting to a Champions League final, obviously FA Cup, and domestic not success in the Premier League, but I think he had an amazing season, and it's hard to really debate that one because what an incredible campaign. Mo Salah also a terrific campaign. So you could have put either name there, as Lucho mentioned, and I think you would find people who disagree or agree with you there. So that one's a tough call. I'd probably go for Salah just because I think he's just a bit more of a killer. I think he's the guy that grabs the game a little bit more aggressively. However,
but couldn't win AFCON or get his team into a World Cup. Yeah, he's a killer.
Apparently penalty kicks not his favorite friend, Jimmy Conrad.
You know what? You have a bunch of green lasers in your eyes. I guess that doesn't help.
Who'd bet against Kareem the Dream being your number 1, and why would anyone bet against Kareem Benzema? Just an outstanding season. What he did do this season blew us all away. It was fabulous to watch him play. But I'm going to leave the last word to you, Jimmy Conrad, to explain yourself one more time. It's a good number 5, but no defender when you were at one stage in your career, MLS Defender of the Year, US National Team Defender. You are coaching kids how to defend, and what are you saying? That they one day might not make it into Jimmy Conrad's top 5?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm saying. Yeah, I'll agree to those sentiments. I just didn't see any standout defensive performances. I think they were solid, and that's what we expect out of them. Maybe Konate scored a couple goals in the Champions League. So if he had maybe risen and done that again in the Champions League final, I don't know why the goals matter, but they're obviously the difference between winning and losing. And I know on the defensive side of the ball, it's super important to keep the team organized and make it easy for everybody around you. And I don't want to dismiss that or cheapen it in any way. But I just thought these other players, Kareem Benzema in particular, obviously. Now, with regard to Heung-min Son, yes, I think on their day, if both are playing to their potential, Harry Kane might be slightly better. But I just wanted to give him some love because we don't talk about him enough. And the fact that he led the Golden Boot or shared it with Mo Salah and didn't take any penalties, I think is worth noting. And obviously Kevin De Bruyne is an unbelievable choice. That guy just makes the game look so easy. In fact, he looks like he should be managing an Office Depot. He doesn't look like a professional athlete, but here he is absolutely bossing everybody and being one of the best in the world at his particular position. So yeah, there's plenty of players that we could choose. And obviously it was pretty crazy to actually sit down and make this list and not name Messi or Ronaldo in it. I feel like for the last 10, 15 years, those two guys are always number one and number two. So it was kind of refreshing not to name those two, but also kind of sad that we're kind of evolving and transitioning from that generation into a new one. But I appreciate the debate. I appreciate your beautiful faces and giving me this opportunity to do my top 5 power list. And I look forward to when you guys have to do it so I can come right at you.
Jimmy, we love you. I am sure there are thousands out there right now who have probably fallen out of love with you because of this top 5. But we appreciate you choosing your top 5 players in the world's game right now. Luis Garcia, you will always be in my top 5.